Hi, Charles Austin here, founder and CEO of Charles Austin Fitness. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about squatting with knee pain and some of the ways you can help alleviate that knee pain while you're squatting. Now, knee pain can be something that's common whether you've just started to squat or you've been squatting for a long time, just because there is a little bit of pressure on the knees while you're squatting. But there are some things that you can do to make sure that you can get rid of some of that knee pain or make it a little bit more comfortable while you squat. Now, the first thing you can do is make sure that you're not squatting with too much weight. Now, some of the ways you can look for that is while you're squatting, make sure that there's not a lot of sharp pain in your lower back. Make sure there's not a lot of wobble or discomfort in your knees. And then also you want to make sure that when you get to the bottom part of the squat, that your feet are stable and in a good position. So if you notice any of those things, pain in the back, extreme discomfort, any wobble or buckling in the knees while you're squatting, or if there's anything wrong with your foot placement at the bottom of your squat, those may be signs that you are squatting a little bit too much weight. Also, you should always be in control of your squat, whether you're lifting light or heavy. That's another sign that you may be squatting a little bit too much if you aren't able to successfully control the weight throughout the squat. So something else that you can do to help alleviate knee pain while you're squatting is make sure that your form is proper, okay? So one of the things that people do incorrectly the most is they go straight down when they're getting ready to do a squat, okay? Now, what you want to do while you're squatting is you want to make sure that the first thing that you do while you're squatting is you start pushing your hips backwards first, okay? As I'm getting ready to squat, my waist and my hips start to bend there, as you can see a little bit here as I'm starting to squat. So, first step, bend at the waist a little bit. Then the next thing you're going to start doing is you want to start bending at those knees a little bit. So that's the second thing that starts to bend, all right? Waist goes first, your hips and your butt go back a little bit, and then you start working on bending at the knees, all right? At that point, you're going to start working your way backwards a little bit, okay? You're not going to be so much going straight down. You're going to be working yourself backwards just a little bit, trying to stick that butt out a little bit. Now, when I'm coaching, whether I'm teaching a class, whether I'm doing one-on-one training, one of the things I like to say is make sure you get that butt out while you're squatting. And that's just kind of to remind people that they're kind of pushing their hips backwards instead of working on going straight vertically down while they're squatting. So, like I said, we're starting with our hips going backwards first, then the knees start to go down a little bit here. Now we're bending at the knees. Now at this point, now we're focusing on getting to the bottom part of the phase, of the squat, excuse me. So here you want to make sure your abs are tight, you're squeezing them here. You want to make sure that your back is nice and flat in a straight line. And also, if you look down, you want to make sure that your knees are in line or behind your toes, okay? Now, the last thing you want to do, or the next thing you want to do, is make sure that you're putting the weight right here on your foot and back. So you should start on the middle part of your foot and work your way back. There should be no pressure on the front part of your foot while you're squatting, okay? So, right here to the middle part of your foot and working it all the way back. So, the last thing you're going to pay attention to is making sure that you're squatting just above 90 degrees. You don't want to get all the way down to 90 degrees unless you're working on something like a deep squat or a specialized squat. When you're just doing regular squats, getting right to about just above 90 degrees is right where you need to be with your squat. And from this position, once again, we're putting the pressure on the middle part of our foot and all the way back to the heels and pushing yourself back up to the starting position, okay? So, let me show you exactly what people do wrong when they're squatting, which is why knee pain can be common and can be made worse. Once again, this is the wrong way to squat. Do not squat like this. I'm just showing you exactly how people can add to their knee pain or even create it by squatting incorrectly. So, when you squat down, just worried about going vertically, and you're not worried about pushing those hips back first, just going straight down, natural motion of the body is going to put you into a position where those knees are going to be right in front of those toes, which is not what you want, okay? So when you look down, from this position, I can't see my toes, and that's a no-no. So if you're ever in a squat position and you look down and all you see is your knees, that's incorrect. So what ends up happening is you get lower into that just above 90 position for the squat, you're going to notice that you start to rock forward a little bit. Once you begin to rock forward, that's when all the pressure gets put right here on your knees, okay? So that pressure is going to start right here from your toes. It's going to work all the way up your shins, and then it's going to go right into this patellar tendon region, right where the tibia and the patellar are connected right here with this tendon here, okay? So what happens is all the pressure is right here, and that's where you start to notice a little bit of that pain. Also, if you notice in the incorrect squat, it's also stretching out this area too. So it's putting a little bit more extra pressure by stretching out that tendon, which is not what you want. So once again, when you go worry about going straight down with your squat, your knees get pushed too far forward, and then you also put too much pressure on your toes and your knees, which is a common place for that knee pain to begin. So once again, do not squat that way. I just wanted to show and explain how squatting that way can add or create knee pain where there wasn't any. All right, so we already talked about making sure that you're not squatting with too much weight. And then we've also talked about making sure your form is proper. Now the last thing you can do to help alleviate or reduce knee pain while squatting is just changing up a few things with your squat. So one of the things that you can change up is making sure that your stance is correct. Now depending on how your hips are, your core region, and your back and some other things, you may have a foot placement that may be different than someone else. So some people like to squat with their feet pointing straight forward. Some people prefer to squat with their feet out wide a little bit. And some people may even have their toes pointing in just slightly while they're squatting. No way is necessarily right or wrong. It just depends on what's most comfortable for you. So I would recommend that you try different stances, whether it's straight, out wide, or inside a little bit, and then just see which one feels the best on your knees, okay? Now the next thing you can do is try different types of squatting. Now most people just think that the only way to squat is to just get a barbell and squat as much weight as you can, or do as many reps as you can, or whatever it may be. But there's several different ways to squat. You can try goblet squats with the dumbbell. You can try band squats with the resistance band. You can try regular barbell squats. You can try cable squats. Or you can even try just holding dumbbells at the side while you squat. So there are several different ways you can squat, and we haven't even mentioned doing a regular body weight squat if you still are noticing the knee pain after trying those different types of squats. So you can try a different way of squatting. So the next thing you can do after you've checked on your stance and after you've tried a different way of squatting, the last thing, if you're still noticing knee pain, is to change your squat depth. So I'm going to show you a little bit here real quickly. Normally, like we said earlier in the video, you want to get to a point to where you're right above 90 degrees, which is about right here in this position. If you're in this position and you're squatting and you notice that there is a little bit of knee pain, what you'll want to do is increase a little bit of height on your squat. So instead of going right above 90, shorten that depth a little bit and work your way up. So now we're a little bit higher with our squat instead of getting down to that right above 90 position. So even if you're taking a little bit of height off your squat, you can still engage your quads, your hams, and your glutes while still taking off some of that pressure from your knees. So just a few things to remember in summary, things that you can do to help alleviate knee pain with your squatting. Number one, you can make sure that you're not squatting with too much weight, making sure that you're able to control that form, making sure that there's no buckle in your knees, or making sure there's no sharp pain in your back while you're squatting, or ways to determine whether or not you're squatting with too much weight. Number two, remember, make sure that your form is always correct. You want to have proper form no matter if you're squatting body weight or 1,000 pounds, okay? So remember, incorrect way to squat is by going straight vertically and pushing your knees too far forward. We don't want to do that. Remember, always bend at the waist first, your knees are second, and everything else follows after that. Third, remember there's a few things you can do to change up your squat. You can check on trying different ways of squatting. You can change your stance, and then you can also change your squat depth and make sure that those are different things that you try to alleviate that knee pain. All right, so this is Charles Austin signing off. Hopefully you learned a little bit about squatting with knee pain today, and I'll catch you next time.